For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise. And you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. You know, 100 and however many shows we've done, that intro we've had from day one, and people have said, why don't you change it? Why don't you mix it up? Why don't you get something fresh? Bottom line is, it just, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? You gotta have the cheesy intro, because that's all we're going to do on this show is cheesy chatter. That almost sounds like a cracker or something you can get in a store. Cheesy chatter. All right, I've got a lot on my mind today, so I think we're going to go on some rants. That's what's going to happen, and we're going to get right into it after this break.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
Jeremy Bradley here on The Scribble at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. There's this whole girl talk thing, and there's a whole thing like guy talk, right? You heard Billy Bush and Donald Trump having guy talk, and you heard what they were talking about, obviously. I overheard some girl talk the other day at a restaurant. I've got to tell you this story. So I went to a restaurant by myself. I had escaped because I needed to focus. I had some work to do, so I took my computer and I ate there, and then I kind of set up shop. I wanted a booth just sort of in the corner off on its own, and then a table of women. I think, was it 3 or 4? Anyway, it was more than 2, let's say. And they obviously were coworkers, and they just decided that they needed to start talking about guys. Now, again, I've had conversations with women about relationships and just other things like that, so I've heard how they, and when I say they, because I'm not a female, so I've heard how they talk. And so this was really interesting because one of them, I could tell, you're going to find this offensive, some of you. I could tell she was a blonde in the way she was talking. Like this, you know how sometimes you can hear a voice and go, okay, well that person is whatever. And maybe it's jumping to conclusions, maybe it's judging them based on the sound, and people do it all the time, right? Oh, well, he's got to be gay, listen to him. Oh, that's a black guy talking, I can tell. It could be a generalization, right? It could be stereotyping, but that's what I mean. I don't mean any disrespect, but I'm just saying I could tell she was blonde. And I was right, so there you go. But the way she was talking, apparently it's this upspeak thing now. So at the end of every sentence, she's going up, like she's asking a question. So I was out with the girls yesterday, and we were having some wine, and then we started laughing, and it was just so funny. Do you get where I'm going with that one? So there's her, and then there was just this woman who had this shrill voice, and I just thought, oh my God, of all of the, can you move to another table? Please just go somewhere else. But then it got entertaining, and so I didn't mind listening to them. So you have the blonde who is sitting there talking about guys, and I called it the Desperate Housewives Club, or I guess they were the single desperate club. Anyway, so she's talking about she cut loose one of the guys in her roster, and I thought, wow, full of yourself much? And I thought, well, she must be a babe then. If she's going Bachelorette style and narrowing it down and weeding them out, well, okay, she's got to be a prize. But not so fast. So I'm sitting there listening to the story, and she's talking about how, again, she cut one loose. And a guy, that is. And so, yeah, like every Saturday, he wanted to be playing hockey with the guys. And I was like, Saturday is my day. And I was like, all right, so he's had a long-standing tradition of playing hockey with his friends, and all of a sudden you come into the picture, and that's not okay. Now, even though, if he's one of your roster, that means you're not in a committed relationship, right? That's just somebody that you're seeing or dating. I don't understand those terms these days because it could be whatever, could be hooking up, right? And so she cut him loose. And then again, I start hearing her talk more about all this time that she has with her girlfriends, and they have their wine. And oh my God, we had so much to drink last night. And then again, she's just going on. And so she's pissed because he doesn't return her texts quick enough, or she'll kind of just like ask a question and there's no response all day. And the more she's telling the story, and of course, naturally, the friends or coworkers, whatever they are, I'm assuming they're friends, they went for lunch together, they are agreeing with her, right? Oh, yeah, no, you don't need... Oh, yeah, no, he's a dog, blah, 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 blah. So, in my mind, just being an observer, I'm not even speaking from a guy's point of view here, but just as an observer, I'm hitting there going, well, it kind of sounds like he's cut you loose, girlfriend, because he's saying, I'm going to play hockey with my friends. He's not getting back to you in a timely manner. And so, seriously, because I'm a dick, we know I'm a dick. There was a part, if I had a microphone with me, I totally would have gone over there and said, we're live, by the way, I want to talk about your relationship here. But there's a part of me as an observer that I wanted to almost like come around the corner and say, so let's look at this for a second here. Like, you don't think that you're doing anything wrong in that relationship or in the dialogue or the interactions with him? It's all on him. And secondly, the fact that you view it as a roster, well, I don't think, guy, girl, whatever gender you are, like, if you look at it that way, I would feel disrespected by that and not want to participate and say, oh, I'm part of the roster. Okay. So if it's really not that serious, is it okay to have that much of an expectation on somebody? Even when you are in a committed relationship, if that's something that if hockey is something that you've been doing, or anything, it could be maybe you have like, a card game club, right? Or board games, game night or whatever that you've done with your friends for years and years and years. One, I don't think it's okay for somebody new to come in and be like, oh, yeah, you can't really do that anymore because we're in a relationship. Like, it's so bizarre to me. So, guy, girl, whatever aside, you're basically now trying to control the person already. That is not a healthy relationship. And again, she had no problem talking about doing wine every second night with her girlfriends, and that was okay. But I guess what she was expecting was that he's going to be coming to her. So if she texts, she expects him to jump on that reply right away and you get back to me and not go all day because, that means that you're not thinking about her and blah, 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 blah. These are all the things that she's saying. I'm not making assumptions here. These are what she's saying, is that, well, if he's not thinking about me 24/7, well, screw him, then I don't need that. Saturday's my day with him, and if he's not going to make that happen and blah, 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 well, he made the choice. He chose not to spend Saturdays with you. He has cut you loose on Saturdays. He has cut you loose from his regular day-to-day conversations through text or phone calls or whatever it is. So it's interesting that she's not taking the hint. Maybe she is, she just doesn't want to admit it. But the way she's presenting it to her friends, and again, maybe they're just agreeing with her because they're friends, and that's what friends do. But at the same time, you kind of want to smack some sense into her. And again, maybe I said because they're colleagues and they're work friends or whatever it is. Maybe they were true outside of work friends. They might go and say, well, you know what? Chances are he's really not that into you then if that's what he wants. And secondly, you're expecting to control him. How do you think that's going to be in the relationship? Not necessarily something that a guy or girl, whoever, wants to be controlled by their partner. So I thought it was really funny, the Desperate Housewives Club, and then another one wants a rich divorcee, and another one is all about a firefighter. She doesn't care about the guy's personality, anything like that. That's got to be his profession, he's got to be a firefighter. One of her this same person, I don't know their names, so I can't start naming them, but the one that wants the firefighter, her best friend just got engaged to an NHL goalie, and the rock that he gave her. And there were pictures of it, of course, because the woman put it on social media, Instagram or whatever. And, oh my God, she is such a lucky... But really, because it's a big... What if he's a dick? What if he beats the bleep out of her? What if he does all this other stuff, but he got her a nice ring and he is a darling? Like, I just find it very interesting, these conversations that people have. When you look at relationships, as she's got a roster... have we come to this, that people look at relationships as whittling down, American Idol style, like you're picking the best candidate? And to me, if I found out that I was in the running with a bunch of other people, that's where I would go and say, yeah, not for me. But I think that's also, too, when it comes to social media, and we're constantly exposed to new people, right? There's always somebody sexier on social media. There's always somebody, we're constantly on the lookout. It's no different than a job, right? Back in the day, my mom still teaches at the same school she has for 20-some years. My dad worked at the same job for 30-some years. So there was that commitment, and people looked at jobs that way, that it was a lifelong thing. My grandparents were married 60-some years. My grandpa died a few years ago. And people are looking at relationships now as disposable, that you go from one to the other, to the other, to the other. I wrote a newspaper column a few years ago saying that I think that weddings are on the way out. When I was in high school, you had the high school girls planning out, like, wanting their wedding dresses and figuring all this other stuff out. And now, again, here's a generalization, but now a lot of high school girls are worried about half-naked selfies and being the party girl and being popular on social media. See, now this has me wondering if it's reality shows or social media that have changed the way relationships are. I don't know. Right? When you think about relationships nowadays, it's so easy to get the wandering eye and to have secret texts or messages on Facebook or whatever it is. Whereas when you think, when my parents were growing up, you had to actually physically go out, most likely to meet somebody. Or maybe you met somebody at work and then you had to sneak around. What were you going to write a letter to them? You're going to fax them something? Use sweet love notes? So it's very different. Times have changed. I don't know if it's for the best. Probably not when you see the divorce rate and how things are crumbling these days when it comes to relationships. So I don't know. We'd love to know your thoughts, especially about the Desperate Housewives. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Jeremy Bradley here on this Scribble. So earlier this summer, I turned 35 years old. It was in August, and because it was 35, it's another one of those round numbers, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, right? So everybody then took the opportunity once again to start to mock my age, right? You first start hearing it when you turned 25. For me, it was 30. That was when everybody started doing it. And I think when I turned 25 was the same year that I bought my house, and I was kind of like really becoming an adult, so I don't know that there was much ammo for me at that point. But now that I'm 35, a couple stories. I'll take you back to when I turned 30 in just a few minutes, but 35, right? So a few days before my birthday, I had posted a picture of myself from 11 years earlier. We had done some radio promotional pictures because I had started the radio show 11 and a half years ago, and I feel that I look almost the exact same as I did then. Sure enough, people had no idea that picture was over a decade old, so that made me feel a little bit better. It really doesn't bother me, the people that are making fun of, like when my mom called and sang happy birthday to me, it was like, happy birthday, dear old man. And then I look at it going, it's always awkward when it's somebody who's almost twice your age doing that to you. Well, she's not quite twice me, almost twice me. She's 60 something, right? And so my cousin did the same thing, and I'm just like, wait a second, your son is 20. So you can make fun of me and call me old all you want. He's in college now, so think about that. Anyway, so August 1st was my birthday. I kind of just laughed it off. But then for about a week after that, maybe even a little bit longer, I started to have the pains of an old person. And I did everything I could to justify why it was happening. Case in point, my ankle. Well, it was actually my heel. It was just so sore. And I only discovered it when I got up to walk the dogs one day. And in my mind, I'm going, why does this hurt? Why does this hurt? So I think, okay, there's some nights when we lay on the couch and the dog falls asleep with his head resting on my ankles. So I figured that's what it was that it was just, my ankle or my heel was sort of numb, and okay, well, that's how we lay, and there we go. But then it happened day 2, day 3, day 4, And by the time, and it's usually me going, hey, you know what? One of my dogs is a little bit old, so we won't go as far for the walk anymore. We'll only go around our little area for about 20 minutes, and then I'll come back. No, it was actually me that was the one that was in pain and needed to stop. It was very sad. So I felt that. And then I was sitting on the couch watching TV again, and all of a sudden I just started to feel this really bad chest pain. Now, before you start to freak out, and before you start to go and say, it was a heart attack, did you go to the doctor, did you go to the hospital, do you know what it felt like? It's a feeling that I've experienced before, so it was nothing new. But I've had it when I was eating. And do you know how maybe you'll eat something too hot? It doesn't necessarily burn your mouth or your throat, but you just kind of get that burning in your upper chest when you're swallowing it and the food is going down. That's kind of what it was. Now, I had eaten about 10 minutes earlier. That's not to say that that's a delayed experience is what I was having, but that's what it felt like. And so it was only just a brief, it wasn't like anything that lasted for 5 minutes or it didn't continue happening. It was just a brief sort of 10, 15 seconds, and that was it. Trust me, if it was longer, I'm the first person to jump to the doctor and go, I need this looked at right now. I've done that before where I've got a fever and I'm freaking out, and I'm one of those people. So anyway, so those instances happened in less than a week of me turning 35, and it started to make me think, okay, now I am really that old. And the saying is you're only as old as you feel. Well, I started to feel kind of old, and then it made me feel a little bit depressed. So when all of these jokes started happening when I turned 30, I was one of those people who was like, you know what, I'm going to prove that I'm young. So you know what I did? And it's not something that I've ever done before. I don't really know if it was me just being reckless and thinking, hey, I'm 20 years old again. It was actually, I guess, it wasn't, it was reckless by my standards. That's how I'll describe it. So the Comedy Central roast of Roseanne was happening. I think it was maybe like a week or so before my birthday. And because, again, I started to hear comments from everybody, I had said, you know what I'm going to do? We're not going to do a big live broadcast because that particular show, they tape and it won't air for another week or two. So we wouldn't have had to go live because we're not previewing something that's happening an hour later. So I had said, I'll cover this. So I flew from Canada and I was going there. I flew that morning. I didn't have a hotel booked. I didn't have a car booked. I didn't have anything. Normally, we get into town a day before. There's a driver. We've got a big old plan. This time I said, I'm going to fly to Los Angeles. I'm going to get there. I'm going to take either an airport shuttle or something. I'm going to go right to the venue. I'm going to change there. I just had my backpack with me. I think I had my computer and then like a microphone or something. And I'm gone. I'm going to go and do it. So I did. I flew out to Los Angeles first thing that Saturday morning, got there in the afternoon, went right to the venue, changed, did the red carpet. I taped the segments, got it all, went inside during the show. This was before the days of live tweeting things, so I was keeping sort of a log that I would be posting messages as the show airs on Comedy Central. And then at about midnight, when the show ended at midnight, I was like, okay, got to get back to the airport. And so again, for me, and I've been to Los Angeles and Hollywood, West Hollywood so many times, it's not that bad. I'd never been to that area or where the theater was. So I literally stepped out of the building at midnight and was like, okay, got to get to the airport. And so I asked somebody, just randomly stopped somebody. Of course, the streets are coming alive at midnight on a Saturday in Hollywood. And I asked somebody, are we close to the airport? They laughed and said no. There was a bus coming. So I said, will that bus take me in the right direction? They said, no, it's the other direction. So they said, take the subway. I had been to Los Angeles, I don't know how many times, had no idea there was a subway there. And we're talking like underground subway, not where you go and get your sandwich and touched by Jared Fogle. So I'm shown to where the subway is, and I go down. I don't know how to use the subway. So I go and ask a bunch of people, and they're like, actually, we're just kind of standing here to fool the cameras to make it look like we're buying tickets, but we just walk through. And I thought, that is very cool. I'm going to break the law with these Los Angelonians. Los Angelonians, whatever they are. And so they said to me, you get off at the very last stop, you go up above ground, and there's going to be like a shuttle bus there, and that bus will take you to the airport. So at least I was somewhat close. I headed in the right direction. These people, again, I'm trusting absolute strangers. And I got on this bus at like whatever time it was, 1:30 in the morning. Got to the airport, the check-in counter, nothing was open. There was a McDonald's there, so I went to McDonald's, got some food, fell asleep on the table, just put my head down on the table. At about 5:30 or so, went back to the airport terminal. went and checked in at 6 something, whatever it was, got on my flights, connected, got home at about noon. It was reckless for me because I like to overplan. I like to have things figured out and laid out for me. And I'd said to my brother, I'm like, okay, Saturday evening, can you go to my house, let the dogs out, feed them, let them out, and then you don't need to go first thing in the morning because I'll be back by about noon. And there we go. So I was gone for maybe about a little over 30 hours or so. And that was kind of how I said, you know what? I'm not old. I'm not this old man who's feeble and can't do it. And so I've never done something like that before. Would I again? I'm not really sure. Again, reckless by my standards, probably not by some of the young whippersnappers that are listening to this right now. But definitely it was like, you know what? Yeah, I still can do it. I can go. And so I did it. So that's how I spent my 30th birthday, or celebrating my age, my agedness, was just going to fly to Los Angeles. Why not? Tell me about, if you're over 30 and you're listening to this, I want to hear if you've had any of those like aches and pains that I have. We all get that old, like the cracking knees as you get up out of bed and you're walking up the stairs, down the stairs, whatever it is. So that's happened to me for I don't know how long. But it just seems oddly coincidental that, like, boom, as soon as I turned 35, I swear to you, it was like either the next day or right after that, I start getting these pains. And I'm waiting to see what's going to happen next. Now, if you're under 30, would love to hear if you're experiencing it, because you're probably not. You're probably not. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. I have said on this show, not a lot, because I don't go on rants about shopping, but I really don't like shopping. I'm one of those people, I can grocery shop for hours. That's something that I do enjoy. But when it comes to actually shopping in a big box store or a mall or something like that, I really don't have the patience for it. And so I just like to know what I've got to get it, and get out, right? And I think that I'm not alone. And I don't want to say that it's a guy thing, but I think it's a guy thing. So for me, I'm torn. Some days I kind of just feel like walking around and not even looking at anything in particular. I don't know why. Maybe it's just to get out of the house or something. But then there's other days when I want to get in there, grab what I need, and go. So case in point, this happened to me the other day at the pet store. Now, I guess they consider it adopted a rabbit. I mean, I bought the rabbit. I don't know why they try to use that term, because you're still paying for it. Anyway, so I had, when I adopted this rabbit last fall, that's, it was $40 or $50, whatever it is for the rabbit. And then they made me buy this certain brand of rabbit food. It was like $12 because this is what they are raised on. This is what they've grown up with. And I'm like, it's still a little bunny. I mean, and I've always felt this way, that when they talk about how with dogs, it used to be, I don't know if it is anymore, and I'm not a vet, so don't quote me on this. I'm not giving you medical advice here, but you'd always heard that you can't change up a dog's food because they get used to it and it messes with. I just think that was the dog food companies trying to say, hey, this is going to ensure brand loyalty. Because here's the deal. I have, one of my dogs is 9 years old. I have had him on a bunch of different kinds of dog food. Nothing has ever bad happened to him. And even the vet can't even tell you that, hey, he's had a few different kinds of food in his life, hasn't he? Because the dog is fine. So I call BS on that. Again, I'm not a medical expert. I'm not, oh God, I'm doing Donald Trump hands as I say that. Thank God you can't see me when we're doing this show. So they made me buy this $12 or $13 bag of rabbit food, and it was really small too. So of course it's like premium, whatever. And I'm thinking, this is what I'm thinking, is bull crap that the pet store is feeding the animals premium animal food there. because they have so many animals. You know damn well they're getting the generic crap on the shelf, the no-name label, no-name brand kind of stuff, because they've got to feed so many rabbits, hamsters, gerbils, guinea pigs, dogs, cats, what have you. Okay? That's just my thought. Now again, I don't work at a pet store, so I don't know about that either. It just seems sketchy to me that you have to have this kind of rabbit food. And then, if you know anything about having rabbits, you get them Timothy hay. And that, again, the girl at the time was trying to pressure me into getting this. And I was like, you know what? I've already got that at home, but thanks. Oh, but is it such and such kind? I'm like, I've got it at home. Doesn't matter. So I applaud the upsell because that's potentially what they're trained to do. So last week, I go to the store again. This time, I just need the shavings, the little shredded stuff that you put on the bottom of the cage. So I go there, and again, what brand does it matter? It's a bunch of shavings on the bottom that they're going to piss and crap on. Okay? So I go, and it was actually the same girl now that I think about it. And so I was like, no, I don't need help. I'm good. Because I hate going into a store, and it's fine to say hello to me. Okay, great. But then to be stopped as I'm barely 5 steps into the store. Is there anything I can help you find? Do you need a hand with anything? Here's the deal. If I need a hand, I will come and ask you. But when you see me going in quickly, motoring to where I need to go, to me, that would imply, hey, this dude knows what he needs. He's going for it. He's going right there. Leave him alone. Let him get it. So she intercepts me anyway. And again, so I need these shavings. She needs to walk me there and show me where they are. She's asking me a million questions. I'm like, no, this is the kind I get. Oh, well, you know that rabbits prefer da-da-da-da-da kind. And I'm sitting there going, first of all, how would they even know that this exists? How can you tell me that rabbits who have never seen this before are going to prefer it? My rabbits are not on the internet. They're not on social media, so they don't see product reviews and other rabbits going and saying, hey, I love to piss on this stuff better. Like, how could you say that they prefer it? How can you say that? It just doesn't make sense. Now, wouldn't you know it, that kind of shavings was about $4 more than the actual thing that I get. And again, like, it's like shredded wood is what this is, right? Like that's all it almost looks like sawdust in a way. Big chunks of sawdust is what the rabbits lay on. They're fine with it. I have one rabbit that is 9 years old, has never seen anything else aside from that kind. So why now I should have asked, what do they prefer about it? Does it make them pee nicer? Do they sleep better at night? How do you know they prefer it? How do you know? Do they write testimonials? Do they write product reviews? Are they doing comparison shopping? How do you know that a rabbit prefers this kind? Because if the rabbit is as big a cheapskate as I am, they're going to go and say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to be pissing on this crap. I don't need any fancy, fluffy kind of thing. Honestly, rabbits prefer it. I just don't get it. Anyhow, so the upsell on that kind of stuff is just very bizarre to me. And again, had I felt confrontational, I swear I would have challenged her and just what do they prefer? How do you know that? So are you guaranteeing this? Because if it's not, I can return it then. Is that what you're saying to me? And what if my rabbit all of a sudden becomes constipated and doesn't want to crap on this stuff then? Did you pay the vet bill when I've got to take him in? How do we measure this? What's the gauge on it? Seriously, if I was in a dicky mood, I would have done it. I really would have. Now, again, I appreciate the upsell, and it is great that they will try to make sure that you've got everything that you need for it. And again, if I'm just in one of those moods, though, where I want to be in and out of the store as quickly as possible, I don't want a million questions. Oh, and then it's like, oh, well, what kind of rabbit do you have? Oh, you've got 2 rabbits. Oh, well, that's great. How old are they? Blah, blah. I'm like, oh, my God. Just let me go. Now, again, I'm thinking that you're asking these qualifying questions to try to sell me another product. And again, that's very smart sales. I am not saying anything about the sales tactics. Just don't try them on me is all I've got to say. I almost need a sign. I want to get a t-shirt that says that. Leave me alone. Let me browse. And then a stop sign on my back. So if they're coming up to me, they'll just see the stop sign and they know not to come after me anymore. I don't know. There just should be some types of stores or retail environments. Like when I go to the convenience store, I don't have them follow me around going, do you need anything? They sit at their counter and wait for me to come up to them. And if I need help, I'll ask them on something, right? Anyway, live at jbonair.com if you want to chime in. Live at jbonair.com.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
Jeremy Bradley here, back on this Scribble. We're out of time, but again, if there's anything you want to chime in on, if you agree or disagree with my rants, I'd love your opinion. Send an email, live at jbonair.com. This is The Scribble. I will talk to you same time, same place next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat,